Let's talk about what's happened here. Donald Trump, in my view, has confounded the Democrats again. It looks like he's confounded the mainstream media again. He's certainly confounded the political establishment and the so-called elites again. This time, he's also overcome a hopelessly politicised judicial system. They threw everything at Trump: lawsuits, criminal charges, fake news, demonisation, and quite literally a would-be assassin's bullet, yet he still looks like prevailing.
All around, all the signs are indicating that there's going to be a victory celebration here tonight, here shortly. All eyes on Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. That is the only state that anybody here wants to talk about. That's what they're waiting for to be called, and that's when this place is going to get lit, guys.
The thing is with Trump is that this is all déjà vu. He's done this for 3 elections in a row now, and his critics have not learned a thing. Remember, he was ruthlessly attacked in 2016 and won against the odds. The left went into a tailspin as Hillary Clinton cried foul. She called for resistance, and riots broke out across the country. Even celebrities fantasised about political violence.
Yes! I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
His presidency was successful in many ways, but derailed by COVID. The fake news distorted his admittedly inflammatory words, but he surged to the election 4 years ago and nearly won. The only thing that saved the Democrats was COVID. It kept Joe Biden in the basement, and it allowed for radical mail-in ballot rules that enabled the Democrats' union and supporter base to rustle up a record number of mail-in ballots without voters actually having to turn up at polling booths. This time, Trump faced an even more enormous challenge. Written off by many, he had to re-win the Republican nomination. The mainstream media and establishment were still gunning for him, and the Democrats weaponised a series of civil and criminal charges against him. They actually wanted to jail their opponent. But Trump kept coming on his familiar themes of American economic revival, border security and law and order. And he dismantled a sitting president before the eyes of the world.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
When the Democrats belatedly convinced Biden not to run for re-election, they chose not to draft a better candidate. They opted for Vice President Kamala Harris. And they didn't convince Biden to resign altogether so she could be sworn in as the first female president and contest as the incumbent. Instead, Vice President Harris, as the candidate, hid from scrutiny. She did not conduct a single media conference as the presidential candidate. Yet she had to inspire Americans and drag people out to vote. And it doesn't seem to have happened. She didn't seem to have offered enough.
As we've been sitting here reporting from the Harris headquarters, and I think the operative word right now is silence. There's not a lot being said because the Harris team appears to be searching for bright spots in the map as these results very, very slowly come in.
Searching for bright spots and also very aware of the warning signs throughout the electorate.
Yeah, well, surprise, surprise, calling Donald Trump a fascist just isn't enough. Even if the journalists love it and the networks amplify it, this is just not plausible. It's just abuse. And for that reason, it insults not just Trump, but all thinking voters. I mean, have a look at this nonsense just from yesterday.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
This is ridiculous fear-mongering of the highest order, fanned and promoted by the Democrats. It's not unusual when it comes to demonising Trump, and the Green left does it here too. Look at this from Teal MP Allegra Spender yesterday.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath.
This election is terrifying. The politicisation of issues such as abortion, the gender divide in voting, over 15%. and also the undermining of the election result before we even have it. We must make sure that Australia doesn't follow the US down these paths.
You'd think the Democrats and the broader left, including most of the media, you think they would have learned that this stuff does not work, that it only insults voters. They've done it now over 3 electoral cycles in the US. But they didn't learn. And this incredible Donald Trump story looks like continuing. He is on track to be the first president to serve a term, lose, and then come back and win a second term since Grover Cleveland in 1892. Trump is likely to dominate the US and world stage again for 4 more years. Iran, China and Russia will be worried. That's the good news. It would be terrific news too for Israel and, in my view, probably also for Ukraine. But look out for social unrest in the US, where it's the left who have most often triggered civil unrest. They did it last time Trump won in 2016. Let's hope they don't repeat the dose.